Welcome to the Sisters in Crime Writers Podcast. Everyone has a unique writing journey, so join us for conversations about those journeys from the writers themselves. This is Julie Henricus, the Executive Director of Sisters in Crime, and I am delighted to welcome Peg Cochran to the podcast this week. Mystery writing lets Peg Cochran indulge her curiosity under the guise of work, aka research. She put pen to paper at age 7 when she wrote plays and forced her cousins to perform them at Christmas dinner. She switched to mysteries when she discovered the perfect hiding place for a body down the street from her house. When she's not writing, she spends her time reading, cooking, spoiling her grandchildren, and checking her book stats on Amazon. A former Jersey girl, Peg now resides in Michigan with her husband. She's the author of the Open Book series, writing as Margaret Loudon, Murder, She Reported series, the Cranberry Cove series, the Farmer's Daughter series, the Gourmet De-Lite series, the Lucille series, and the Sweet Nothings Lingerie series, which she wrote as Meg London. Peg, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm delighted to have this conversation and can't wait to talk about, the careers and the many, many different topics. And you mentioned this a little bit in your bio, but let's talk about when you first said to yourself, I want to write a book, and how you made that happen.
Well, I always wanted to write a book, pretty much. I wrote a really terrible romance in high school. Fortunately, I don't know where it is. And then I wrote another romance, which I actually submitted to Harlequin and promptly got turned down. And a number of years went by, and I still had that itch to write. And on my lunch hour at work, I would go to what was then Doubleday, doesn't exist now. And I would see all those books with Berkeley Prime Crimes former logo with the bloody handprint. And I thought, I want my name on one of those books someday. So then I really got serious about it. I realized I wasn't going to have a book unless I actually wrote the thing. Thinking about it wasn't going to get me anywhere.
So was it always, you wrote romance at the beginning, but now you're sort of picturing yourself as a mystery writer. And it's a powerful thing to say, I want that logo and my name on the same book at some point. I mean, that's a powerful way to sort of figure out how you're going to get there. But what helped you move to the mystery genre as far as becoming a writer?
I always read mysteries, more mysteries than romance. So I understood the genre a little better. And then I joined Sisters in Crime and the Guppies, the great unpublished. And that's when I got a lot more information about how to do it and so forth. That was very, very valuable.
So can we talk about that, learning how to write mystery? And, at a point in your life when you decide to do this, you're working, you've got success in other places, and you're going to figure something out that's not as easy as it may seem at the beginning. And you need to be open to that. Can you talk about that process?
Well, I'd absorbed a lot already from mysteries I'd read. And then I read every book on mystery writing that I could find, pretty much. And slowly it came to me. I started, practicing. I wrote 3 manuscripts that I got an agent, but she couldn't sell them. And took a hiatus, went back to learning a little bit, and then finally, I guess I finally got it.
And you mentioned the Guppies,
Yes.
the great unpublished. Can you tell folks a little bit more about this? It's a chapter of Sisters in Crime, but it's an amazing group of folks who stay in the group even once they're published to support and to mentor and to teach and to raise folks up.
Yes, there were a lot of people like me trying to get started, and many others who already had success in the field who were willing to answer questions. And we always sort of, pushed each other, come on, you can do it, encouraged each other. And it was just a great group to be with other people who wanted to do the same thing.
The interesting thing, or one of the interesting things about a writing journey and publishing, is that it's not, it's not a ladder that keeps going up and up and up. I mean, it has its dips and its turns and it's everything else. And that's hard to prepare for sometimes, but community helps. Can you talk about the importance of groups like the Guppies or Sisters in Crime or other ways of finding the community that understands?
I think it's really good to have other people trying to do the same thing who can encourage you, keep you going when you really just want to fall on your face, or you do fall on your face, who have information that they have that you don't, so you can share. And at a certain point, through Guppies, someone created a group, we call ourselves Plot Hatchers. And it's not affiliated with Guppies or anything. There's 7 of us. And we've been together, I want to say, for about 15 years now. And we're an email group. And we started out, helping each other. I'm really stuck on my plot. Anybody have any ideas? We often found that once we typed out that email, we knew what we needed to do. It was kind of like magic. And then we became friends over time, and we shared literally everything with each other. We had 2 of our members lost their spouses, actually 3. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, they were the first people I went to tell. They had, even though we're just online together, they'd become very good friends. And what I didn't know, they knew, and vice versa, so we could tap into each other's knowledge, which was great. And that's actually how I got started writing. I got my first contract was because of them. Krista Davis is a member of our little group, and she said, my agent is looking for someone to write a specific cozy that the editor wants. Why don't you try out for it? So I did. And I got the job. So she gave me that step up that I needed.
Well, and I think of you and Krista, and they're just folks who've been doing this for a while and have been navigating and figuring things out. But I think sometimes people don't know about the different routes to publication that there are. And that includes an editor has an idea but needs to find an author.
Yes, they call it a work for hire. And that's why I had a pen name, because they own the idea, the books, and even your name. So I didn't want to give up my own name, so I went with a pen name for that. And they gave me a very brief outline of the first book, and then I was expected to take it from there.
And it's usually a 3-book contract, so you're going to have a chance to tell the story and figure, it's a great way to figure things out.
Yes. Your characters can grow across the 3 books. And it's a framework that you can work with. Yeah.
And so it wasn't your name, but you saw the imprint and, a name on that Berkeley. Was it a Berkeley series?
Berkeley Prime Crime. Actually, when I had written another cozy mystery before that, when I was still working on it. And I asked my editor, would she like to take a look at it? And she said, sure, I will. So she read it, I got a 3-book contract for that series. So almost simultaneously, 2 books came out. One with my name, one with my pen name.
Yeah. And how many books in each series?
3 in those.
Yeah. But that's a wonderful way of learning how to write a 3-book series. I mean, intellectually you can understand things, but then it's like, oh, wait, something's going to happen here.
I have to do this.
So talk to me about, about your other series and sort of developing ideas and how you world build, which you do so well, in order to create this framework for these series.
Well, one in particular, the Cranberry Cove series, I had this vision of a body floating up in a cranberry bog. And I mentioned it to my agent, and she said, write me a proposal. And so that's how that one came about. And I actually visited a local cranberry bog when they were doing the harvest, which was really fun. And I asked the owner, I said, well, what would you do with the berries if a body floated up in the bog? He didn't answer me. He just looked very alarmed. End of tour. Right there.
It's a heck of a way to fertilize the bog.
Yes. And then my open book series, it's so random where the ideas come from. I was reading an article in a newsletter called Shelf Awareness. You probably know about it. And it mentioned a position opening as a writer in residence at a bookstore, I think in Massachusetts. And I thought, oh, that's something different. It's about books, but to have a writer. And I thought, well, where do I want her to go? And I thought England, because I'd like to go to England. I've been, but it would be a little armchair travel doing research. And then it was the time when Harry was dating Meghan, and there was this uproar. He's dating an American. So I had a Duke in the town who was engaged to an American romance writer. And it just snowballed from there. It was fun to do that. That series has 4 books, actually.
And, this is ideas are ideas, but ideas that sort of have the pull and the ability to build a world around them are exciting to sort of hatch and figure out.
Yes, I've made up so many towns that don't exist. For instance, Cranberry Cove, I have a map of the stores in town. I thought, okay, I want them to have a candy shop and this, and what kind of people are running these stores? What would be interesting and quirky? Yeah. And they all sort of came to me, and the really scary part is I almost think they're real. It feels like it to me when I'm writing. I'm not sure I should say that, but it's true. You get so into this world, I can see it in my mind, and it feels real to me when I'm actually writing.
And when you're writing a cozy series, you've got your main character, your sleuth, and the sort of the framework, but the secondary characters who come in and become part of the world, they'll have their own stories. They need to play into the entire structure. But that's kind of a marvelous thing too, because those secondary characters can steal the show.
True. It gives you the opportunity to be a little broader with your humor, let's say, than maybe with your protagonist who you want to seem real. You can get a little more excessive with them, which is fun. Like I have in Cranberry Cove, I have 2 older identical twin sisters who run the candy shop, always dress alike, hair's done exactly the same way. They're almost can't tell them apart. But my protagonist has gotten to know them, and she realizes one is a little more forward than the other one. And but you couldn't, to have them as main characters would be maybe too over the top for a cozy mystery. So you can people your mysteries with characters that are a little kookier, let's say.
The interesting thing about cozies is that they are sometimes dismissed as a subgenre, not by the readers, not by the writers. They are as much work as anyone else, but as any other genre. But they're also a wonderful way to talk about the real world with this cozy. Things still happen in cozy mysteries that have real world impact, but you tell them in a story where the justice will prevail and things are gonna work out, but you can tell heavy stories in a cozy.
Yes, as long as you do it in a fairly light-handed way.
Yeah.
I mean, murder is a very heavy topic in and of itself, and the motives can be also very heavy. I mean, greed, lust, jealousy, whatever. So you are dealing with real human emotions. You're just not hammering them home with gory details or lingering on people suffering, that kind of thing. It's, but definitely beneath the surface, it's very real.
Yeah. Wow. When you are writing a series, how do you keep it straight that, one character is not going to visit another character, especially if you're writing, 2 series in a year or a couple of years? Like, how do you ever have times where you wish you could cross-pollinate, or, you're thinking about and it's like, oh, wait, she doesn't exist in this series. She's over here.
Every once in a while I think, what's her name again? Who am I writing about in this one? But once I get my head into it after, the first chapter or something, I'm so in that world, and that really helps me keep things separate from each other. One year I wrote books in 3 different series, and but I just work on one at a time. I know authors who can write, go between 2 books or something. That doesn't work for me. I have to stay in that world that I've created and finish that story.
So, Peg, talk to me about how you write. Do you plot?
I do. I tried not plotting, pantsing, as we call it. It doesn't work for me. I need to know where I'm going. I don't have a 25-page outline like some writers. It's much sketchier than that, but I generally start, who's my victim? Who would I like to kill in this? And then I come up with my suspects, who could be some interesting characters, and I give each of them a motive. Usually I've picked the killer already. I mean, I know who that's going to be, but I have to have suspects that are, realistic. So they each get a motive, and then I will try to think of an alibi for each of them so that, they can be eliminated. And then I start putting that together, like what should happen first and so on and so forth. And then a lot of times, I plan and go astray. I do something different in the end, but at least I have some kind of roadmap to follow.
And when you're writing a cozy series, you'll be given a contract for 2 or 3 books or whatever at a time. Do you sometimes have storylines that sort of arc over a couple of books, a thread or something that's going to move you into, or introduce a terrible person in the one book so that you can kill them in the second book?
Actually, it's most of them have a sort of slightly romantic subplot, and that generally carries through the books. In my Cranberry Cove series, I'm writing number 11 now. My character was single in the first book. She meets her husband. They date for a couple books. They get married. Now she has a baby, and now he's turned 2. So the main character's life goes through all the books. It's a through line. I've never actually taken a character and, well, there's a set of characters. They're always in the books, the store owners and the neighbors and her mother-in-law and stuff like that. But I've never moved someone from another book that had nothing to do with it and put it in the current book.
So do you write in Word? Do you write in order? Tell me about the physical writing.
I write in Word and I think in Word too, which is a little weird, but I can walk around and come up with an idea, yes, but what I normally do is I sit down and I start stream of consciousness writing, just typing it all out, like, no, she can't be the murderer because of this, and oh no, that doesn't sound logical, and anything that comes to mind, and then finally out of that I start to get the story, or maybe it's the next chapter that I have to think about in advance. It's I need my fingers on the keys.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Although actually my first 3 unsuccessful books, I wrote them longhand on a steno pad while commuting to my job in New York City from New Jersey. I had an hour on the train and I wrote 3 books like that and then typed them up when I got home.
Wow. I mean,
I can't do that now because my handwriting has gotten so bad, I can't read it.
I was going to say, I would have the lost manuscript just by I get home and not know what I wrote.
Yes. Yes, that would definitely happen.
Do you, so you write in Word, you edit in Word, like how long does it take? You plot. So that's part of writing, and that's, can be the first draft in a lot of times, but how long does it take you to write a book?
Well, the really obnoxious answer is as long as I have. I'll figure out my deadline, how many words per day. Let's say I'm going to take weekends off, and I try to hit my word count for the day. And I do write in order. I might know a scene that's going to happen later on, but I don't feel I can write it till I get there because things might change along the way, or I might know more at that point that I want to include. So I do go in order. I guess I'm just that kind of person, kind of rigid like that.
And in the outline, would you write just the blurb for that scene so you don't forget that I want this to be in an amusement park with 17, in the House of Mirrors, and so that you don't forget that?
Yeah, actually, I type out the scenes because I can't read my handwriting, cut them out and put them on Post-it index cards. And then when I'm really feeling energetic, I put them on a bulletin board and reorder the scenes. I start actually on the dining room table, setting them out, moving them around until they make sense to me and feel suspenseful. And then I pin them to the bulletin board so I can just follow along. But again, I often leave the path and come up with something else along the way that I think is better.
Yeah. And then do you go back and reorder or add those scenes so that you still, your structure, you can make adjustments, or do you just...
No, because it's already served its purpose to get me where I want to go. Maybe if it really changes something, I might insert a scene card here or there, but not regular. I mean, I don't fix it all up when I'm done to mirror the story. I just leave it.
And timelines for cozies are always interesting. Timelines for all books are, but it's usually compressed time, and you said you're writing the 11th book, and your protagonist has a 2-year-old, but that's over 11 writing years. It's a 5-year book time. But when you're writing a book itself, do timelines ever throw you off? Do you ever think to yourself, this can't still be Tuesday? Or are you so good on this now that you just, you can do it automatically?
All the time. What I do is at the beginning of a scene, I type in red type, all caps, the day of the week. And then when the next morning I type that day so that I can keep track, because I made mistakes in the past and I've learned that I can't keep track without that. That really helps. And also, like, is it morning or night? How many things can this poor woman do in a day?
Yeah.
Oh, she didn't do anything today. I've got to go back and put something in that. I feel that every scene needs to move the story forward. It can't just be for no reason. And so sometimes, I have to fill the day. I thought, she can't do that now because it's nighttime. She's going to have to do something else.
Well, and also you're building tension. So if she doesn't do anything for 3 days, that's the kind of can take away from the tension.
Exactly.
I remember talking to Barbara Ross once, who wrote the main Clam Bake series, and she was frustrated because she needed the hair salon to be open on a Tuesday night at 7, and it wasn't open. It was only open till 5, and her husband said to her, "It's made up. You can make it open at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday. Like, this is not worth stressing over. You can fix this."
That's true. And I have had to go back and change, like, okay, it's not going to start on a Monday. It's going to start on a Tuesday. So they're not going to work on Sunday and church on Monday. That kind of thing. You do have some, it is made up. You can play with things a bit.
Yeah.
And,
Do you, you've been writing for a while. You've been, figuring things out. This is not, being a long published author is not a simple thing. So that's important to sort of give you a hat tip on itself. But how do you keep challenging yourself as you're writing? Do you, how does it stay interesting for you?
Because each book is a new world to me, even if it's the same series. I'm going to have different people in it because you can't get a lot for regular, so you've got to bring in a new cast of characters. And that keeps it fresh, and those people have their own quirks and their own secrets. And that really helps to keep it fresh. And also, I am aware, like, no, I can't do that. I already did that in another book. Or, what? Often I'm thinking, what's a new way to kill this person?
I was going to ask that.
It sounds very gory, but I've tried to come up with different ways and don't always succeed. Sometimes they just get stabbed. Something ordinary. I'm like, just stab them, for goodness sakes.
But maybe stab them with something interesting or different so that, can throw
Once it was a nice pick. And then this book, it's, I shouldn't say because I'll give it away, but it's a different object.
Yes. Yeah.
And one in my, it was the Gourmet De-Lite series. I drugged the poor woman with, she had sleeping pills or she took Valium or something, and she was drugged by the killer and then put in a steam cabinet and turned it on and left her in the steam cabinet.
Oh,
I wanted to call the book Steam to Death because that kind of went along with the other titles. So how would I do that? The poor woman was cooked like a lobster. But she was already dead, so it was okay.
Yeah.
Or at least she was unconscious.
Well, and this is why you have groups like your plotting group, so that it's not everyone you can have a conversation about how else, what's the best way to do this?
Yes. People get a little scared if you say, okay, do you have any good ideas how to kill someone? If they don't know what you're doing.
Every crime writer is on a list somewhere because of the things we
Oh, I'm
write.
sure the FBI is like, what is she researching now?
But that's what makes it interesting.
It is. It really does.
So do you, and as we're talking about this, and again, we've talked about community in the macro level, but also the micro level, finding your group of people who, it's not just writing. I mean, they're your life friends, but they also understand what you're doing as a writer. But if you could go back and talk to the beginning self about this career, what advice would you give somebody starting out?
I would say start as soon as you realize that's what you want to do. Don't be afraid. Try it out. Enjoy the process because it is fun, even if you don't get published with that particular manuscript. Keep going, keep learning, believe in yourself, and don't quit. Someone once said, don't quit 5 minutes before a miracle. And it's so true. I love that. You don't know when something really fortuitous is going to happen and you're going to get where you want to go.
Yeah, that's a great quote. I mean, don't quit 5 minutes before a miracle. Yeah, you never know when a friend's going to call and say somebody's looking for somebody to write this book and, you should audition, and boom, the door's open.
In one case, another writer she was trying to sell a manuscript, which is her first, well, maybe not the first she wrote, but the first she tried to sell. And I asked my editor if she would read it. And she said, sure. And she got a contract. So, you try to pay it forward, and someone helped me, so I wanted to help someone else. And you never know who that person is going to be, who's going to just give you a leg up or reach down a hand to help you.
And it's not a zero-sum game. You support and cheer for other people, because when it's your turn, they're going to be there for you. You can't say, you can, some people do, oh, I'm a better writer or this or that, but that's not going to help you long term.
No, and someone else succeeding doesn't take anything away from you.
Right.
And that's I don't know if that's true in all genres, but particularly mystery and cozy mystery, everyone is very supportive of each other. There isn't any kind of backstabbing going on. It's really a great community of people.
Really
I don't know why. We're killing people, but maybe we get our aggressions out on the page instead of in real life.
Well, and you're also sitting in smiling at people and nodding when they're behaving badly, and you're just taking notes because it's going to be your next book.
It's all fodder for your next book.
Well, Peg, thank you so much for being on the podcast and for talking about your career and guppies and everything else.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for being with us today. Sisters in Crime is about community. We were founded to advocate for women crime writers, and we continue that mission by fighting for equity in the crime writing community. Sisters in Crime is an international, inclusive organization for all who write and love crime fiction, mystery, thrillers, and suspense. Join us at sistersincrime.org and make sure you subscribe to this podcast.